Thursday, ladies and gentlemen. This is Rob Foster with episode number 246 of Shut Up and Grind. So if you are brand new to the show, we're all about overcoming obstacles. We're about defying the odds and helping you clear the path of whatever is blocking you from reaching your ultimate goal. So if you're joining me over on Facebook, please like and share. If you're joining me on YouTube, please subscribe to the channel. If you're joining me on any of the podcast platforms, give your boy a 5-star review because you know we always bring the fire every single episode. If you have any interest in supporting the show, for those of us up north, the cold weather's coming and we got hoodies. Okay, go hit up shutupandgrindgear.com. You get the Shut Up and Grind one. And I have another one here that says it never gets easier, you get stronger. So that's a way you can support the show if it's on your heart to do so. All right, so today we're going to be talking with a woman who created a business to help herself, help her family, but also to help the environment. And so that's why I called this one White Cactus is the New Leather. So I figured it would be a thought-provoking one, and it will help drum up some interest, and we can get her story and find out what it is she's doing and how she's impacting the world. So now I welcome Renia Pruchnicki to the show. Did I get it right?
Yes, you did.
Hell yeah. Love
Hi.
it. Love it. All right. Where are you joining me from?
Paris, Ontario, Canada.
The second straight Canadian.
Oh.
Yeah, I believe Danielle Matthews was on the other day. She's from Canada also. Good. Lots of love to my international guests.
Thanks for having me on the show.
My pleasure. So thanks for taking the time. And are you originally from Canada?
I am. Yeah.
Okay. All right. What do you like about being there?
Well, I love the clean, fresh air. The nature. Northern Ontario is absolutely beautiful, and it's pretty chill, and I'm pretty free, and yeah, loving it.
It's like Northern Ontario just sounds cold.
It can be in the winter, but in the summertime, it's not, and it's absolutely gorgeous.
Awesome. Good. All right. So let's get to know you a little bit better before we dive into your story. And just how would you describe yourself?
I would describe myself as an entrepreneur who creates a life that she loves while helping people and the planet.
Creates a life that she loves. So that's a solid small bio, but I want character traits. Like how would you describe you?
I would say that I'm a very hardworking person, very positive, very inquisitive, a bit of a spiritual seeker, very creative. I love to create products and pretty much anything, and love to learn and grow.
All right, there we go. That's what I was looking for. So you can tie in all of these things as we get deeper into your story. All right, so talk to me. How did you get into the business you're doing now?
Well, it all started back in the year 2001 when I started the company Truth Belts here in Canada. So for those of you that don't know, Truth Belts is a line of animal-friendly fashion accessories, primarily belts. And, all, high-end stuff. I also make suspenders and, bracelets and yoga bands and wallets. So it's been 21 years now that I've been at this. And, when you think of starting a business when you're in your 20s and just like not knowing what the heck you're doing, I really went for it. And I was able to create a brand name to a company that fast forward to today in the year 2022, Truth products are sold all over the world. And every time a belt is purchased on my website at truthbelts.com or at a trade show where I sell directly to the public, a tree gets planted. So we've planted, lots of trees, over 1,800 and counting. We just started doing that a few years ago. So, Truth Belts is a really fun company that I kind of went on that journey of being a small business owner and learning how to be an entrepreneur and learning from my mistakes. So, fail forward and just having a lot of fun in my life with this business.
Again, very, very solid answer, but you didn't answer my question. How did you get into it? Like,
How?
Like,
Okay. Yes. Well,
what were you dealing with prior to starting this?
so I have always been interested in design. So I went to school for fashion design in
Yeah.
Toronto, Canada. And I kind of, knew that I was going to be doing something creative. So I worked for different companies for about 7 years before I actually started the company. And I had been working as a pattern maker and as a, an actual designer and all the other facets in the manufacturing realm, if you will. And so what really happened was I lost my job. I got laid off. Okay. That's when it went, my world fell apart. And I
Yeah.
found myself in the unemployment line and I was totally devastated. I just thought that my life was over and that I totally screwed up and I was in my late 20s. And then I saw when I was standing there in the unemployment line that somebody, they were advertising that you could join this unemployment program and you could start a business and you would be helped by the government. Basically, it was called Self-Employment Assistance Program. So I signed up for that and I presented my business plan, and it was the year 2001. And I chose to propose this business of fashion accessories because in 2001, belts were the hottest fashion accessory of the year, and all the magazines were talking about it. So I thought, well, why don't I just start with belts because I didn't have a lot of money. And I just,
Right,
went for it.
let me
And
jump.
that's how
Let
it
me
got
jump
started.
in quick. Yeah, let me jump in quick. So we'll go
Sure.
back to we'll pick it back up with the belts are the hottest thing, because you said something that I think a lot of people deal with, and it'd be very relatable. We said after losing your job, you thought life was over, right?
Yes.
Take me through that feeling, because I went through something similar. I was managing restaurants, for 20 years. I started just hustling fitness on the side. Like I never had dreams of, doing what I'm doing now. But for that split second when I lost my job, it was the same thing. I was like, I'm 32 years old. All I really know is restaurants. So I dropped out of college. Like, what the hell am I gonna do? So just navigate those feelings for me real quick. Then we'll pick it back up with the belts.
Fear, fear of the unknown, because I didn't know what I was going to
Yeah.
do. I was like, where am I going to get my next paycheck? Like, how am I going to pay for my rent and for food? That's what was going through my mind. And I just thought that I was a failure. I thought I completely messed up. I thought, oh my God, I'm just going to go downhill from here. So fear would be the number one feeling that I had.
Yes,
Yeah.
and fear of failure. That's one of the number one fears out there. Like
Yeah.
they'll say it's snakes and it's fear of the dark and claustrophobia, but it's fear of failure. Like that holds so many people back. So how did you stare that fear in the face and move forward?
Well, I sat and I was thinking about possibilities, different ways that my life could go. And I did know that I always had a bit of like an entrepreneurial spirit. And I know that I'm a hard worker. And I did have a dream of, being self-employed. It crossed my mind before. So I just started, thinking about that. And I remember at the time I had this boyfriend who was self-employed. He was making websites and he was encouraging me too, saying, well, like this could be an opportunity for you to to do that. So that's when I shifted gears and I was like, let's turn this around to maybe this could be like a possibility. And I was, afraid, but I just started taking small steps towards that goal. And the first one being I joined that unemployment assistance or the business assistance program and learned, knowledge is really important. And then I just took small steps to go for it.
See, and that's very, very profound because I say it a lot on this show. Out of the 200, what's this, 246 for episodes, I probably said it on 220 of them. It's all about possibilities. So like as we were talking about navigating fear, people get afraid because they think of the obstacles. It's
Yeah.
like they don't think of the possibilities. It's like you got to think of what can this become. And I always say, if you're at the far end of a large room and you want to get to the other end of the room, you're not going to get there in one enormous step. You're going to get there from a series of smaller steps. So I just wanted to highlight what you just said. You just started, and again, I always say on this show, once you get started, the opportunities become clearer and clearer once you get started. Whether it was starting this podcast or shifting from the restaurant industry into fitness or you shifting from what you were doing to becoming an entrepreneur. It's all about seeing the possibilities and then just making steps in that right direction. Like, it doesn't have to be perfect. You know, you don't have to have everything set up. You just have to start. And then let's talk about your next step. So belts were the hottest trend. And then just like, how did you get the vision to use cactuses?
That came a lot later. So the cactus material was an idea that came into my mind actually a couple of years ago when one of my customers sent me an email and they said, hey, check out this company in Mexico. So it's a company called Deserto, and they are these two ingenious guys, and they have figured out a way to take the mature leaf of a cactus, they cut it off and they harvest it into a material. They turn it into a resin, and it looks just like leather. Like, you would be surprised at how it looks. And what's great about that is the leaf of the cactus grows back. So it's completely sustainable. It's kind of like, you know, bamboo grows 1 meter per day and then it just keeps growing. So cactus is like this. And of course, cactus needs hardly any water to grow. So it's an incredible product, very sustainable and something new. So when I found out about that, I thought, wow, like, I totally want to be in on this. I contacted the company right away and I ordered some sample yardage and started making some samples to see what I could come up with. And I came up with a couple amazing belts and a wallet. And that came to fruition through a Kickstarter campaign and Indiegogo campaign. And it's very exciting to bring a new product into the world. They look really beautiful.
That's awesome. So
yeah,
you already answered where I was gonna go next, because you said, you know, for like every belt that's bought through your site, you plant a tree. I was like, but are you, because I know there's naysayers out there. So like, I'm just thinking on behalf of the naysayer, if someone were to say, okay, you're going to plant a tree, but you're killing a cactus. But you already answered that it can regrow. So you're technically not killing it.
Nope. You just cut off the mature leaf and it grows back in 6 to 8 months. And they have a whole field of cacti and they just keep growing. So it's really great.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right. So when you made your first one, what were your initial thoughts?
That is the best feeling of what I do. Like, when you have an idea and when you see the first sample for the first time, is like, like, the feeling is like, it's so fulfilling. I don't know, like, even just like reliving it now in that past second, like it just feels like my heart is like tingling with joy. You know, it's the coolest feeling when you finally nail the design and you're like,
yes.
So you just feel like, you know, you've hit something really special. So that's the feeling.
So now, was your business, how big was it to that point when this product, that first prototype, was finished?
Well, that would have been after being in business for about 19 years. So like, you know, I have a following, and of course, just like everybody, COVID hurt my business. So how big was it? I mean, how do I answer that question in terms of?
Well, you said that the belts are sold all over the world. So like, were you already established with that following and when you unveiled this product?
Yes, I had been. So when I say the belts are sold all over the world, we sell on our website and also like on Amazon. And and then we have our following of people, you know, who buy them at retail stores. So we do have, we already did have that following. So it was easy enough for me just to send out an email to my email list and say, hey, this is what I'm doing, and making, you know, videos and all that to explain my new product.
Nice. Yeah. All right. So I want to back up a little to just going back to the concept of using the cactus. So when you first heard of it, were you immediately like, I'm on this, or did it take some time, some research? Just take me through that process.
It was immediate for me to do the investigation. I was like, cactus, huh? Because you know, I always want to be like on the cutting edge of new material, right? Because as somebody who makes products that are non-leather, like, I've tried so many different things over the past 2 decades. So when I heard this, I thought, the cactus, that is really, I've never heard of that. So immediately I went to the website and I immediately sent them an email and said, how can I test this? Tell me more about this. And then I would say it took a while, like after I received the material, to like play with it and, you know, have different samples made to see how it would react before I finally nailed it. So that might have been like, you know, a process of like, you know, 4 or 5 months or so. Okay. Yeah.
All right, yeah, because that's what made me reach out to you when that, because like I just browse people's bios, because
Okay.
like I don't like to know too much before the episode because I like to just find out things organically.
Oh,
But
okay.
just when I came across that, I was like, I want to know that. It's like I didn't know
Wow.
that was a thing that you could turn a plant like that
I
into
know.
all these different accessories. So
Yeah, I know.
that's
It's
what that's why I
mind-boggling.
keep asking you backstory.
Yeah, and to tell you a little bit more, these two guys, they have like a really cool video on their website, which is deserto.mx. They're in Mexico. And so
Mhm.
their story is really cool. So they were working in the fashion industry and they wanted to make animal-friendly products. And so they discovered this way in Mexico to make these products. And now, car companies are using it for their upholstery and in the interiors of a car. Nike has been using it and it's really starting to grow. So it's really new. It's only about a couple years old. So you're going to be hearing more about cactus leather. I guarantee it.
Nice. All right.
Yeah.
So what's the benefit of that versus a traditional belt?
Well, a traditional leather belt, I mean, when you think about deforestation, which is an issue on our planet, that, a lot of forests and the Amazon forests are being cut down to make room for cattle to grow. And unfortunately, like it's ruining, the land. And also just like all of the efforts that go into, like raising cattle and all those fields, like that is really polluting our environment. Whereas when you compare cactus has almost a zero footprint in that it needs hardly any water to grow. It can grow in the most infertile climates where no other plant can possibly survive. It can grow in the desert, right? So when you
Yeah.
think about the two, I mean, why wouldn't you use cactus, right?
Makes sense. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Completely understood. All right. So you did the belt first, right?
Yeah.
So when did you start dabbling with the other products?
The other products meaning other belts, or what do you mean by that?
Because you said you do. Well, are the belts the only thing that you use the cactus for, or do you do your other products with them as well?
The cactus can only really be used for belts and wallets. So I can't really use it for
Belts and wallets.
suspenders
Okay.
or yoga bands at this time. Yeah. Just the nature of the
Okay. What?
fabric. So, yeah.
Okay. All right. So, hmm, that's interesting to me because with the belt, belt goes around the waist. You would figure a suspender could go this way. I feel like a wallet would be a lot more intricate. So just explain the difference there.
Well, a suspender has to be made from like a stretchy material, kind of like something that has elastic to it. So,
Okay.
like the belt. Actually, I think I have a sample right here. So here's an actual sample of like the cactus belt. I don't know if you can see it. It just looks like
Okay. Yeah, I
like
can.
really thick leather. So I couldn't use it for suspenders. It's just too thick. Belt is like
Gotcha.
hardcore.
All
Yeah.
right. And so, do you have a sample of the wallet by chance?
I do. Ta-da! This is a slim wallet. So here's the profile.
Okay.
And then, I mean, it's just like a
Nice.
wallet that has like a compartment on each side for like credit cards, or there's like a money clip on the inside here.
Okay.
I don't know if
All right.
people are not so much using money so much anymore, but maybe you need to keep your receipts, right? Maybe you need to keep your receipts for your bookkeeper or something.
And then how about the durability?
It's very durable. So we have been before we did the Kickstarter, we had belt testers wear the belt for over 1 year before we actually went ahead to like say, hey, this is a really great belt. So I started, of course, by getting my friends to wear the belt. So one of my friends, his name is Mark, he was wearing it literally almost every day for 1 year. And so we were like, always like watching him. He was giving the feedback. So on the Kickstarter page, we had a lot of testimonials of people who said, hey, I've been wearing this for like 8 months, 10 months, over a year, to say, yeah, and look at the condition. It's still really great.
Yes. All right.
Yeah.
So for the people that don't know, explain the Kickstarter process. So you had an idea, you needed funding, because I'm sure there's going to be someone listening that has an idea and just think it's just going to cost me way too much to get it going. So just explain the Kickstarter process, please.
Sure. So Kickstarter has been around maybe for like 13, 14 years. And it's a platform where people can go to support a new idea or a new product or new innovation. So like a person who's inventing a new product or creating a play or a game or anything, and they don't want to get funding, they'll basically go to Kickstarter and they have their own unique page where they have a video and a description and photos of the product. And you're explaining where you are in the process. Like, is this just an idea or are you already like in production? And you're basically calling out to people that say, hey, if you want to fund my campaign, you could fund this for an X amount of dollars, and then you'll be the first person to get the product when it comes out. Or they could just fund a dollar amount, like $1 or however many dollars they want. So that's how a lot of people are getting their products out there. It's basically the citizens of the world are deciding what products are going to come into fruition. And then for a business owner like me, I don't have to like go to a bank and like apply for a loan or have like, you know, an angel investor invest in my company. I can just simply do this from hundreds or even thousands of people who would want to support my product on Kickstarter.
Love it. So
Yeah.
you mentioned earlier about self-employment assistance. I'm not sure if that's a thing here in the States, but explain how that works.
So it was offered by the government at that time, like back 21 years ago. And they put you through a business course to like give you, you know, the tools that you need to start a business. Like, where do you get your business cards done? How do you apply for like a business permit? Blah, blah, blah. Some marketing skills. And so I think the course was maybe like, you know, 3 months or 6 months, something like that. And then for the first year of my business, any income that I made for my business, it could be tax free. So that was a really great incentive for me to start out. So I didn't really know anything about how to run a business. So for somebody like me, it was great to like be guided to take those first scary steps.
See, I knew I
Yeah.
wanted to circle back to that. I just had to find the right spot in the conversation, and it was right there. So
Yeah.
because a lot of people just think that there's no help, there's no resource. They think people
Yeah.
just get, you know, only the rich get richer, and so on and so forth. It's like that's not the case. Like, I started my business with absolutely nothing, with a free Craigslist ad. You know, then as I started getting clients, I started buying more equipment. I started advertising more. Then I got even more clients, and I started doing more. And so now, in the days of Kickstarters and GoFundMe's and Indiegogos and all this stuff, the resources are out there. People just have to know where to look. You know, so
Yeah.
how did you find out that these resources were available?
Well, remember when I told you the story where, like, when I was laid off and I was standing there in the unemployment line, I thought I
Yes.
would like ruin my life. I just looked over and I just saw like I think like a pamphlet that said self-employment assistance program, and so I was like, okay. So I just grabbed it because I was waiting in line and I read about it, and it was pretty easy. So I didn't really go out of my way, but I just glanced at it and I went under the way to pick up the pamphlets.
Okay, perfect. And how did you find out about Kickstarter?
Oh, geez. I think somebody had told me about it, like when it first came out. And it would had been on my radar, but I maybe like funded a few things. And then it was back in the year like 2019 where I did my very first Kickstarter on another belt. So yeah, it was just really word of mouth. And then I went on the website. I funded some other companies, you know, products, and just like was following a few things. And some people do really, really well on Kickstarter. They just like hit a nerve, and like it just people really respond to it.
Okay, and so when you got into it, did you have a business background already?
When I first started Truth Belts, do you mean, or the Kickstarter?
Truth Belt, sorry.
No, I didn't. I was just a product designer. So I know how to design products and I know everything about the production process, but I wouldn't say I have a business background. So I was totally green in that area. Just
Okay, so how did you improve in that area?
through trial and error, through a lot of trial and error. I mean, you know, just going for it. So, you know, I started out just by showing my belts to a bunch of stores. And then I think I would have to say I drew upon the experience of the companies that I used to work for before I started my company. So I had been working as a product designer for 7 years for various companies before I started my own. So I can remember how, you know, maybe like I saw an invoice or how they did like what a purchase order looked like. So just kind of remembering what I saw passing by because I wasn't super involved in that. and using them as a model. And I also knew how to use Photoshop and Illustrator. So when it came to designing any kind of like pamphlets or business cards, like I was able to do that on my own and make it look pretty good. That was really helpful.
See, so I keep asking all these questions because, like I said in the intro, the whole purpose of this show was to inspire people to take action on what they really want out of life.
Yeah.
And all of your answers tie into like everything that I preach on this show about get started, but before you're ready, just make small steps. Like it doesn't have to be perfect before you start. You just have to start. And it seems like the way you started it is absolutely perfect for what this show is about. Absolutely
Yeah.
perfect. So you lost your job. You were in a place of fear. You didn't know how you were going to turn the corner. You got an idea. You did what you could do to get started. You brought the idea to life, and now you have a global brand. It's like here in the States, we call that the American dream.
Yeah, for sure. And you know what? There were so many ups and downs, Robert, like so many ups and downs. Like I can remember one time I did a TV commercial in the United States. This was like probably, I don't know, 15 years ago. And they were supposed to air it during a certain time and they didn't. And then at one point, like when I was complaining to them, like we agreed on this, they just didn't return my phone calls or anything. And I basically lost like a lot of money for that. So, you have to try things and sometimes it doesn't work out and sometimes it does. And you can't be attached to something like that, right? You just got to be like, well, what did I learn? I'm not going to do that again. And you keep heading forward in the direction of your goal. And, you can't be a backseat driver. Like if you're like driving your car, you can't always be looking in the rear view mirror, like being sorry about what happened. You just got to be focused on forward. And now, like, what can I do now towards my goal?
Yes. I always say you never change the goal. You change the strategy.
Yes.
Because it's very, very rarely is it going to go the way you draw it up.
Yeah.
Very rarely.
Yeah, for sure. And so I have a lot of techniques that I use, like for when I personally am getting down, like if something should happen and I feel that my energy or my attitude is kind of going in the negative. So, I might like stop myself and like put on a song that I like and like dance in my living room to like elevate my vibe, and then just remember like, what does it feel like for me in like 5 years from now or 1 year from now? Like what do I want to like feel like and experience? And then I don't know exactly how I'm going to get there, but I trust that different paths are going to open up and I'm going to, take one step at a time towards like my joy and passion. And that's really all I can do.
Yes, so true. Like again, when I started my fitness business, I had no business. Oh, I shouldn't say I had no business background. I would say I had no marketing background. I didn't have a branding background. I didn't really have connections in those areas, but I had a lot more business knowledge than I thought from the 20 years I spent managing restaurants. Like I knew a lot more. And another thing I preach on this show all the time is like everybody has everything that they need within them right now to start a new venture. To just start. I'm not talking about, being a CEO with 1,000 employees. Like there, you're going to have to pick up some skills along the way. But somebody has something inside of them right now that they can either bring to life or that they can teach someone else through an online course or through speaking engagements, things of that nature. Like it's already there. So when I made the transition from restaurant to fitness, it's like the same principles that I had to keep the restaurant health department ready. I was able to shift over into fitness to get people ready to lose weight, to run faster, to build muscle. Like it was the same exact strategies. And now through the podcast, I help people create stories and create, keynote speeches and stuff. And the framework, it's exactly the same, and probably what you do to get your production out and to motivate your team and everything else. Like there's a framework it carries across any industry, the core principles that have to be in place. Like people already have it within them.
Absolutely. And you know what? It makes like one decision can change your life and also like how you see things, your perspective. A seemingly miracle can happen in a person's life just on that alone, like your beliefs. And And when you drop a belief and put on another, take on another belief, like it could just take you in a totally different direction, which is makes life so exciting, right? Because you, like you said before, like you don't know how it's going to unfold, right? And then
Yes.
you can like, be watching your own life with like awe, be like, I wonder how it's going to unfold. I wonder what's going to happen today. Like, how is it going to unfold? And then it's really makes life exciting when you look at it from that like curious and like kind of like effervescent point of view. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. See, so now you're a creative mind, you know. I'm a creative-ish mind. Like I'm not hands-on creative. I'm more of like a visionary.
Yeah.
So for people like us, adopting that mindset is easy. What do you say to the person who's cautious minded, and might see obstacles first? Like, what would you say to that person? Because like you're definitely not gonna completely flip a cautious person into a visionary, but
Right.
you can at least help get them in the right direction. What would you say to that person?
Well, I think a security-minded person definitely would feel comfortable with like small baby steps. They're not like a freedom-minded person who would like totally go for it, and let the chips fall where they may. So I would get type of person to see like what kind of benefits are they getting from being a security minded person? Because there's always like some sort of benefit you have unconsciously by the
Yeah,
things that you do, right? So maybe
yeah.
like it makes them feel safe, right, and comfortable. So in that respect, I would suggest to them, okay, so maybe that person would take a little bit more time to do some research or talk to other people who have done what they are wanting to do to like make them feel safe and comfortable. And I would get them to take just small baby steps so that they're comfortable all along the way.
Yes, absolutely. And the only other thing I would add to that would be to get a mentor.
Yes.
Get a mentor who's a go-getter.
Yeah.
Because for someone like me, I'm not cautious. So
Yeah.
like I actually need someone to, Rob, hold on, let's think this through. Because
Right.
I will jump right through a flaming hoop in a second, and I don't worry about getting caught on fire or burning my eyebrows. And like, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work, but I'm trying it,
Yeah.
so like that's the only other thing I would add on. Everything else you said was spot on, but I would just say just get someone that has those qualities that you don't have. Because if you align yourself with another cautious person, those are not going to be very productive meetings.
Unless it was a cautious person who like was very successful and they did it in like with like small steps. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
true.
So yeah, but I see your point. So they're like slowly expanding their awareness of what's possible by getting that different
Yes,
point of view. Yeah, for
yes,
sure. It's really interesting because
so
there's so many
true.
different personality types out there, and people approach things in such different ways.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, so true. Like I say, because I'll jump right off the building, just right off the side of it.
Yeah,
So
and I've done that too. I've totally done that too, and like I said, I've been burned a few times, but I don't know, it makes life kind of exciting, doesn't it?
yes, yeah, like the online fitness coaching became a thing, and people are like, oh, you can add $10,000 a month, and you can do this, and you can do that, and so I paid probably $6,000 for this program,
Right.
and like I went through the program, but then I was like, I don't want to be an online coach. It's like I like being in person, I like being there watching people hit their goals, and regardless of how big or how small the goal is, like it all matters to me. And it's like, and I want to be there. I don't want to coach someone who's in California.
Yeah.
It's like so just but like I said, but that's how my mind works. I just dove right in,
Yeah.
whereas someone else would have been like, Rob, you are way too high energy to be an online coach. It's like I need the physical energy in the room. Like I
Ah,
like doing my podcast. I like speaking on other people's podcasts, but there's nothing beats speaking in person.
yeah.
Like that's just a completely different vibe.
Yeah.
And so,
Yeah,
you
I
know,
get that. That's awesome.
thank you. All right, so we're gonna start bringing it down here. So give us some final thoughts. Tell people where they can find you. Do you have
Sure.
any new products coming or any of that stuff?
Yeah, well, the cactus belts, they're on just finishing on Indiegogo, so we're now making the production. So we're going to fulfill the Kickstarter, And we're going to have the belts available to the public by the end of this year. So hopefully by like end of November, just in time for Black Friday, we'll have them on our website at truthbelts.com. We have all kinds of belts for men, women. We have like flat, stretchy, elastic belts, suspenders, like belts for kids, all kinds of belts. Truthbelts.com, and also on Amazon.com. So just look up the company Truth Belts, BELTS, and you'll be sure to find it. And every time you buy a product for us on our website, you'll plant a tree.
Love it. All right, give us some final thoughts.
Well, I can only just say is live your truth, live your truth. And everybody has their own path and their own truth. And regardless of what other people say, regardless of the judgments that you might get from friends or family, just don't listen to it. Just do what feels right for you and go for it, because you only have one life to live. So
Facts.
Go for it. Live your truth.
Facts. Love it. Love it. Love it. All right. So thank you very much for taking the time. When I do my closing, don't sign off, because I want to talk to you once we go off the live.
Okay.
All right. So again, thank you, and I'll see you in a minute.
Thank you.
All right. All right. So that was Renia with Truth Belts. Again, that's www.truthbelts.com. So I just want to double down on one thing she just mentioned about living your truth, but an even bigger point she just made was don't listen to other people's opinions, especially if they're not doing what you're trying to do. Hear that in the fitness world all the time. You got unhealthy people trying to tell people what they should or should not be doing. So if you're listening to someone that doesn't have what you want, or they're not doing what you want to do, shut that person's opinion right down. Find the person that's doing what you want to do and pick their brain. Hey, that's the fastest way to success. You can't listen to broke people if you're trying to be a millionaire. It doesn't work that way. Okay, so find out who do you need to connect yourself with that's doing what you want to do, and then make that dream happen. So I got for you, I will actually be back tomorrow. Got to guess Friday, and we have our 8th All-Star panel on Saturday. So I'll be back at 2 p.m. tomorrow Eastern, and then 1 p.m. on Saturday with another panel. So that's all I got for you for today. Have yourselves a great day.
You've been listening to Shut Up and Grind. We hope you've gotten some useful and practical information from this show. Robert has over 20 years experience pouring his knowledge and expertise at many events in the service and fitness industry, as well as secondary schools and universities. He has a true passion for helping others break through the barriers that are holding them back. To book Robert B. Foster to speak or to reach out, go to robertbfoster.com. Till next time, shut up and grind.